Hello, this is Jamie Maggart. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. There's two different versions. This one has just plain red, real red paper and then a ribbon all the way around it. This one has a piece of DSP on it. So let's get started and I'll show you how I did it. I used a wreath. I used this flower and this leaf and the sentiment, Merry Christmas. I'm using Real Red, Shaded Spruce, Crumb Cake, and Memento ink. For the card itself, I have a 2 1/4 inch piece of gold punched out from 2 1/4 inch circle punch. You can use whatever size you want. These particular ones here have like a little bit of a stitching on the edge because I cut them out of a center of another one that I used from another card, so I wanted to use them up. But these I'm just going to use a 2 1/4 inch circle. I have a strip of designer series paper. This one's like 3/8 of an inch. This one I think was like a 1/2 inch. Whatever size, strip you want. I kind of wanted a little bit more of the background to show, so I did smaller. Then I have a gold piece that I can layer my strip on top of. And then if I was going to do the red, again it's like 3/8 of an inch, it's just a scrap, and then a gold piece to put on top. And then for the stamping, I have a piece of Whisper White, and this one is 4 by 5 1/4. We may trim it down a little bit, but I think that's probably good. And a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of gold. And then we'll have our card base, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. And then ribbon, whatever ribbon you want to use. Okay, so let's get started here. I'm going to I'm going to do this a little bit different than I did. I just stamped one piece, but I think I'm going to put them together and stamp them together. They'll be opposite. They'll have the writing on the other side, but I think it'll work. So let's put these together here. And let's go to town. The first thing I'm going to do is get the memento out. And the sentiment, Merry Christmas. I ink that up. I'm going to stamp one. Okay, I get the wrong ink pad out. One that needs re-inked. I'm going to stamp the first one down over here towards the bottom. Then I'm going to stamp one, make sure it's inked well. I might have to switch out my ink pad. Above it. And we want one over here. And above it, we're just stamping a little bit of a variation. Like that. I'll go ahead and I'll just stamp this one the same. Go ahead and do 2 at once then. We want this one by itself because we're going to punch it out. And we don't want other Merry Christmases in it, we just want other flowers in it. That's what this is. Okay, so there's that. Okay, now we're going to take our Real Red. Hope you can see that. Kind of out of frame here. Let's move the cards. And this flower, we're going to start stamping flowers. There's no right or wrong to it. We're just stamping flowers. We want to keep them on this side of the page. Like that. We'll do this one as well. One more down here. Okay, now we're going to take the green. You can use whatever color green that goes with your designer series paper. And this is a shaded spruce in this instance. On the leaf, we're just going to add some leaves. Whoops. Take your time so you get a good stamped impression. Some of them will overlap the flowers a little bit, that's fine. Some of them come from off the page. Try not to overlap the words too much, but you can. You want to have good variety here. Take a moment and clean this because I have something on it evidently. Okay. Trying not to think about it too much. I'm trying to just stamp them. I think it comes out better that way. When you think about it, sometimes it stifles you some for some reason. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in the crumb cake. And this stamp. And I'm going to fill in this area with this. I'm going to stamp it, stamp again. Just kind of fills in the background a little bit, adds a little bit more detail. Okay, just like that. Do this one. You're stamping right over what you've already stamped. It's a light enough color that it's not gonna distract from it. Just kind of adds a texture. Okay, we're done with the stamping. Now we're going to bring in our 2-inch circle punch. We're going to center it. This Merry Christmas here at the bottom. You don't want to be too close to the edge. That's going to be our sentiment, so we're going to punch that out. Try to keep it with the same one. Punch that out. Okay, now we're going to adhere the pieces we just punched out onto our 2 1/4 inch gold circles. And for that, I'm just going to use my wet glue. Center it in the center of that circle. Okay, we're going to bring in our pieces of gold. And we're going to, you could have punched your circles out of the center of them. I didn't think about that. Probably would have been smarter, but it's alright. We're going to center this on the front of this. This is where if you wanted a little bit more gold, you would trim this down a little bit. Okay, now we're going to, oh, I gotta do this one still. Sorry, I had to go blow my nose. Didn't want to be sniffing on the video. Alright, now we're going to glue these. I'm going to glue one of them to the front of my card base. The other one I'm going to do the ribbon on, so actually I don't want to do that yet because I want to do these first. Okay, where did the green piece go? Oh, it's behind it. Okay. So I'm going to glue the Designer Series paper strip to the gold strip. Then I'm going to glue that to the front of this piece. It's longer than it needs to be. Figure out how much of this you want to show. Try to stay straight if you can. And my snips, turn it over, and clip off the extra. Okay, so then this one can go onto our card base. This one is very similar. This is just a strip of real red. Do the same thing with this one. This one's got to be a little bit shorter because I didn't do the red piece long enough. Okay, let's trim this one off. Okay. Now we're going to do a ribbon. And this is just some ribbon I had in my stash. I'm going to wrap it around and tie a bow. Not sure how I did that. Had both loopies on the same side. This is why I always do those other kind of bows, because I struggle at tying bows, especially on camera. Okay, fiddle with it a little bit, trim off the ends. Okay, now we can glue this to our card. I'm going to put this down just a little bit more this way. Okay. Alright, now we're going to bring in some dimensionals for our circles. Add a couple of those on the back. Alright, I lost one somewheres. Line it up with what you had on there, how you stamped it. Put that down. And there's that card. Let me put you on pause and see if I can find my other circle. It's not here. There it is, across the room. Some dimensionals on this one. Try to line those up. I want this sentiment straight though. There we go. And then I'm going to, just with a glue dot, add a little bow that I had laying around. Right there. Okay, there's the two cards. This one's with a designer series paper. This one's with a red strip and ribbon. But they're basically the same card. Now in this one I did add some little gold dots on there. And this one has old olive instead of the shaded spruce. Well, thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.